Hey there, welcome to another episode of Ladies with Tradies, How to Stop Shit Hitting the Fan in Love, Life and Business. I'm very excited to be talking to long-time clients and dear friends of mine, Steph Ryan from Modern Hedge on the Mornington Peninsula. How you going, guys?
Good,
Good
good.
morning.
So excited it is morning when we're recording this. So Modern Hedge is a hedge trimming and garden maintenance business down on the stunning peninsula. These guys get to go to some of the most picturesque places near the ocean, which is just beautiful. So Modern Hedge is their business, and today we're talking to them about building a modern tradie team because these guys have done some sensational work over the last few years in building an incredible team, and I can't wait for them to share all of their insights with you so you can pinch their really great ideas because they've done a really good job. So guys, tell us a bit about Modern Hedge. Where did it start? How did it start? Tell us a bit from the beginning.
Oh, well, yeah, I came to Australia probably 10 years ago. Worked for an environmental company outdoors, and I'm an engineer by trade and always worked inside and just absolutely loved being outside, loved the nature. And it was just an opportunity that came along. A client said to me, "Oh, look, would you look after my garden for a day a week?" And that gave me the opportunity to get some tools and a van, and it really grew from there. And just loved, yeah, like I said, loved being outside. So
Beautiful. And Steph, you're fairly involved. Well, you're very involved in Modern Hedge, despite having your own very more than full-time corporate career. So tell us a bit about your reflections and the beginning.
Yeah, I think we were living further away from the peninsula at the time, and it also gave us an opportunity to start the business down here, given we do live in a beautiful part of the world and there's plenty of hedges and beautiful gardens for us to tackle down on the peninsula. So it gave us an opportunity to move back to family as well, and for Ryan to have the opportunity to build a business. And I think coming from my background, from digital agency background, I always say that gives you the tool set to tackle any business, because you have so much focus on revenue and forecasting and team building and everything that it takes to run a business. So it's been kind of fun to do it alongside Ryan in the background, kind of more so in the early days. I think a lot more grit and weekend and evening work than perhaps today, which is a nice reflection, kind of thinking about the team building and the types of people we bring into the business to help us do that.
Beautiful. So Ryan, what does Modern Hedge actually do for the listeners?
So it's a gardening and hedge trimming business. It was funny. I started the business as a gardening maintenance business and loved the name Modern Hedge. Walked out the front door one day and there was a building company called Modern Edge, and I was like, I like that name. So we went Modern Hedge, and 6 months in, starts getting phone calls to come and cut my hedge. Can you come and cut my hedge? So I quickly learned how to cut hedges, and yeah, 7 or 8 years later, we're one of the bigger hedge trimming businesses down on the peninsula, and we still have a gardening maintenance arm that does a lot of commercial stuff as well.
Amazing. So it's all been a little bit of a beautiful accident, I suppose, by the sound of it, which is how so many businesses start.
Yeah, once you have a passion for something, it kind of snowballs and gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Oh, and why wouldn't you be passionate? It's so beautiful what you do.
Yeah, and we really build on the momentum of that. I think when we have like a little success in something, we start to kind of double down on that and build again. And the inquiries keep coming. We keep being able to showcase the great work, and we're such a referral based business that that's sort of what helped us grow in the early days, particularly people really looking out for us and saying, "Oh, I've referred you on to our neighbor. I've referred you on to this person."
Yeah.
So it's good.
It's beautiful. And if you do get the time, certainly stalk these guys' socials. They do it very well, and it's a very visual business. So I think that works in your favor beautifully. Okay, so we're here to talk about your modern tradie team, guys. Tell us a bit about, when you're considering bringing people in to Modern Hedge, what are you looking for in your people?
Basically, it's all team. Like they have to fit with the team for us. That's a big part of it's a lot easier. A big part of recruitment. It's a lot easier to keep the staff and keep a happy home rather than just bringing people in. As people know, in a service and a trades-based industry, normally a high turnover of people until you find the right one, and they'll stay with you for 10, 20 years if you keep them happy. So yeah, it's the fit of the team for me, the main thing.
Yeah, you can teach the skills if they're the right kind of people to be in the business. And I think, you know, we've learned that along the way, right? Like when we were first starting out recruiting and bringing team members on, we were really new business owners and we didn't really understand the power of communicating effectively with the team, helping them understand the vision of the business and where we were going and where they fit into that, and, you know, what skill sets were right for the type of business owners we are and the types of business we sort of do on a day-to-day basis. So we've certainly learned a lot over that period, and I think we're starting to see the benefits of that with such a stable and incredible team that we have behind us at Modern Hedge now. Yeah, quite proud of the team we have.
So are there specific traits that you look for, guys? Like you talk about the fit. What does that really mean, Ryan? Like what does fit even mean?
Values is a big one. Like we probe in the interviews around what they do inside a business, outside a business, what they enjoy doing, what they don't enjoy doing. Values is a big thing.
And then we use the disc profiling as well. So we do that with our coaches like Kate and Ladies with Tradies to understand the dynamic between sort of Ryan and I from a disc profile perspective and the personality traits and communication styles and the like. And we started profiling through the recruitment stage when we got down to shortlist phase. And we've been doing that for probably the last 18 months, 2 years now. And it really helps us to, like, it's funny when you see a profile that resonates and you're like, oh yeah, like that, their experience looks good. And then you do the profile and you're like, oh, that's interesting. Like, be interesting to see where they fit into the team in terms of the communication, the way people work together. And, you know, we're big on teaming people up, like kind of having people work in pairs and things like that as well, and how they'll go in a dynamic. So I definitely think the disc profiles have been big for us in making sure we recruit the right type of personalities, which funnily enough are probably more in line with Ryan's SC kind of profile, which has kind of happened by, like, it's just kind of happened that those are the people that resonate in the business and sort of have that stability within the business.
Yeah. Another tool that we use as well is getting our team on board as well. So basically we'll do trial days with the prospective person, and they go out with a team member, and then we get the feedback from them, and at the end of the day they've got to be involved in it as well, because if they don't vouch for the person, or if they don't say yep they're good, or no they're not too good, then they're never going to be invested. They're never going to feel like they need to help them in the business as well. So if they vouch for them on their training day, then they're going to be invested and want to see them succeed as well.
Perfect. I love that. So important. And people who have introduced their staff into that recruiting process, and that they do have that skin in the game essentially, don't they? Where it's like, well, I've sort of said this person's good to go, so I better make sure that they're good to go.
And I love the unsolicited feedback our team give us too. Like they'll be sitting at home late at night, maybe reflecting on their day, and they'll text us and be like, oh, I was thinking, like, in today's session, this person did this really well and this really well. And yeah, just thought you should know that. Like, it's nice that they're thinking about it and wanting to make sure they get to contribute their thoughts to it as well.
So that's a perfect segue, that whole to my next question, which is about how do you ensure that there is that cohesiveness, you know, or that because that sounds like a pretty protective state that I suppose your staff are in when they're texting you at night, because they're reflecting. There's a lot of care factor there, I suppose. What if you know, how do you go about making that happen? Because you do this very well, I think.
I don't know. We've got a great environment with the team at the moment, so I think they feel like they've got to protect that as well, because they want to come to work and enjoy the day, enjoy the people they're hanging out with. So they don't want to bring anyone into that fold that's not going to fit, and they don't enjoy chatting to, hanging out with, working with.
And I think we've introduced some key forums to our team environment too that help to cultivate that. So, you know, on a quarterly basis, we'll do a team session, like sometimes facilitated with Ladies with Tradies, sometimes just facilitated by something with us. Like we might do a goal setting session, or we'll run something more around the business rules of the game and being able to help them set the expectations for how they want to act and behaviors within the business, and reflecting on what we obviously instill in them as well. And being able to do team events, like we'll go-karting, or I think we've done a couple of escape rooms and things like that as well, just trying to find ways to connect outside of the business so that culturally they're connected to all of us as well, which is always so enjoyable. We always have a good banter. Our group chat is on WhatsApp, and kind of daily there'll be some sort of meme or GIF that's going around with a bit of banter, which is always nice. So I think we do try and create transparency around where the business is at. Like this afternoon, we've got our end of year financial performance slideshow, as one of the team like to call it. They're like,
one of our team's a teacher, and he's pretty keen to see Steph's slideshow.
He does love a bit of a slideshow, doesn't he? That staff member, bless him.
But that is so, like, that's me bringing my background as well into the business and we're not just a trades business. We are a full-fledged business. Like we're not, I think sometimes there can be a dismissive slant to tradie businesses and the like. And we all know how hard these guys work and the effort that goes into these businesses. And so I think being able to bring some of my more corporate practices into the team environment has been helpful, in the like of sharing more transparency around financials and performance and what the things we're doing and focusing on and how the team have impact to the business overall has been helpful.
Absolutely. So for you, Ryan, how has it been for you, you know, as the tradie, for lack of a better word, in the business, implementing that kind of more corporate structure? Now, there'll be tradies out there going, what the hell are they talking about, implementing corporate structures into tradie businesses? Oh my goodness. So when you've worked through setting rules of the game or standards of behavior or doing performance reviews, tell us a bit about your experience of doing that stuff, because it's pretty different for a lot of tradies.
100%. I was that tradie, and still am that tradie, really. I'm still learning. A few years ago, before we started doing all of this, where I've always ever worked for someone, or I've never been a boss, and like I'm learning at the same time, and implementing all these things I'm not going to lie, it's hard, and it's pushing you out of your comfort zone. But once you've done it a couple of times, like you just get on it, the team enjoy it, like setting the rules of the game. I have my rules of the game that I need them to adhere to, but I don't tell them that. I let them do the rules of the game. So at the end of the day, if they do something wrong, they set the rules.
Mm-hmm.
I make sure mine slide in there, but yeah, they've set the rules. So there's no reason for them not to follow them.
So you really empowered your team to come up with what those standards of behaviour and the rules were for Modern Hedge. How has that impacted the way that the team works? Has it been a good thing? Have you found it challenging?
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing. It's something that you still need to work on, even though they've set them. You still need to remind them. Toolbox every week, we have our rules of the game on a whiteboard, and we pick a subject and we go through that rules of the game. We add to them, like they're always changing. We might remove things, we might add things to them. But it's their decision at the end of the day. I put as much onto them as possible because I want them to be invested as well.
So you, and I love that I could play on the modern word here, because you came up with a bit of a creative way to then implement the way that people work with each other if somebody does falter with the rules. Can you kind of talk to people about that? Because it was very innovative and a great way of delivering some I guess, corporate structure, but in a fun way?
Yeah, so all the teams very sporty. They either have a AFL team they follow or an English football team they follow, um, or soccer as some of them call it. So we pretty much based the company structure around a sporting team.
Yeah.
So we kind of set it out on a soccer pitch, and we have our admin as the strikers, and then we outline what that job entails, and then we kind of have the boots on the ground, which are the midfielders, so the hedge trimmers, the gardeners, the people that go out there every day and do the hard work. And then the defensive team are kind of the more management, so me and Matt in there, and we can see what's happening in front of us. We can help out the team and go on to the tools in the midfield. And also then we've got Steph, who's the goalkeeper, and if anything gets through to her, then shit's hit the fan, and
it's my favorite bit.
we're in trouble. So following on from that, everyone knows their roles and where they are in the business. Again, as a sporting team, there's always rules of the game. So that's how the rules of the game fell into it. And we came up with what we expect from everyone and don't expect. And then also the refereeing of that as well. So if someone is doing something that's deemed as out of bounds, so maybe they turn up late for one day for work, and we'll be like, come on, mate, that's a bit out of bounds. Come on, start time. And then you've got fouls. So if it's something a little bit more serious, either do it 2 or 3 times a week, or they do it a couple of times a week, it's a bit more serious. And then you move on to your yellow cards, which is something a bit more, maybe you're not helping out with the guys packing up or starting the day, and you're being a bit lazy, so you'll get a yellow card. 2 yellow cards would be a red card, which is something major as well. So say if you're abusive, or you're bullying, or you're talking to clients in a terrible manner, then you'd get a red card, and that'd be you packed up for the day and you're going home. And so
off the pitch you go. See you later.
Yeah. So
you haven't had to do that, I don't think, have you? A red card?
No,
not a red card.
We've worked on the team enough to know they're not going that way. But it's the language they use as well. I mean, in a trades-based business, there's coarse language used, and it can be quite aggressive between team members if they're not getting along. Whereas they know that this is the language we use, and you don't misuse it as well, because if you start misusing it, then it doesn't mean anything. So the team understands that, and they use it well. So
I love that. So there's a good, healthy respect for the rules of the game and how they are utilised with the team in the context of a soccer game.
Yep.
Beautiful. It's I love it. And the team, I'm very privileged to get a bit of an inside look at the Modern Hedge team occasionally, and they certainly have responded well to a lot of these things that have been implemented, and the review processes that Steph and Ryan have gone through to keep that fresh as well, because it's not something that you've just done and it's sat on a shelf, guys. Like, it's there, it's referred to regularly, isn't it? You use it a lot.
The career progression is brought up at the start of every review that we do with them. So we have the levels and what they need to be doing in each level, and we'll highlight the things that they've done on the level that they're at, and highlight things that they're working on or they've done on the level above, and show them what they need to do to get to that next level. So if they are in the midfield and they want to become defenders, then this is the level you need to be at to get to there.
How beautiful. And that's another example of that corporate structure, isn't it, Steph, where, in our corporate worlds, back when I was nursing, it was pretty clear if I wanted to be a grade 3 nurse or an associate manager, I had to do specific things to get paid at that level. In traditional tradie business, it's, I'm another 12 months ahead, boss, like give me a couple of bucks extra per hour, but they don't necessarily change their contribution to the business. They're just putting their hand out and saying, I want more money. So the benefit of those levels in your business makes it pretty clear, I would imagine, if you are or you are not on the mark as far as moving up in the business.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's been something that has been really transformative to some of the conversations we're able to have with the team and help them understand. I think sometimes that we'll highlight things that maybe they're not doing where they think they're doing it. And when you have it on that piece of paper and that framework, it's like, oh yeah, I can see how I'm actually not there yet. That makes sense. Okay, here are the things that we're going to work on this quarter to make sure you get there. So definitely having an artifact that's clear for them around what their progression framework looks like and how they can, you know, increase their salaries and increase their opportunities is definitely important to us.
Yeah, and it puts it back onto them as well. If you've told them what they need to do to get to that next level, they should be asking, oh, could I get up on the ladder today and do some top of the hedges, or could I get up in the spider lift and learn how to do that, rather than us pushing them to do that.
Amazing. I was going to say, have you found it's been a motivating factor?
100%, yeah.
Very cool. I love it. So as far as the way you've made up your team, you know, because I think structure in team is important. You've actually touched on a fair bit of it on the soccer pitch analogy. How are you making decisions around the structure of your team and how structurally it works? Like, what are the main factors in your decision making around that?
I think one of the main reasons is for us to keep innovating and developing and growing. We need the team members to step up into the roles that we're currently doing as well, so we can help develop them into that and then look at the things for the future as well. We've got some fun things on the horizon and that we're looking at the moment, and we just need the team to help us be able to give us some space to do that as well, and Modern Hedge still run as it is at the moment.
How's it been? Oh, sorry, Steph. Yeah,
I was going to say, and like I think we've had a good focus over the last sort of 2 years, particularly bringing in an admin person into the business to help with the scheduling and the invoicing and making sure that the client experience is great. And then Ryan's 2IC, Matt, who is stepping up every time and being able to take on more responsibility. And, you know, we've started getting him involved in more of the quoting aspect of the business and taking on some of the responsibilities that Ryan currently has. You know, that's certainly our focus, to be trying to, as Ryan said, get the team operating when we're not here. And I think we've had a couple of good opportunities the last year when we haven't been locked down, to be able to go away and be able to give the team that autonomy and see how they go while we're away. And they do put in that extra level of care factor and making sure that they're trying to problem solve before coming to us with anything and being able to be self-sufficient. So I think having the right structures and roles in having, you know, that 2IC and the admin and Matt and Emma working really closely together with the team has definitely been a game changer for us.
What's it meant both of you have been able to do as a result?
Spending more time working on the business, rather than being on the tools Monday to Friday, getting that extra day in the office just to provide Emma with some support and look for the things in the future. And as a company, we pride ourselves on the customer communication and all the mod cons that businesses have, the job management platform that helps us just keep the clients up to date. And we're by far one of the best in the industry for what we do with that side of things, and that's why we get our customers. And it's just showing our staff that how important that is, and they need to learn that as well.
Beautiful. So it's you know, that it's given you the ability to not step out of the business just yet, but certainly have a different overview of it. You've got people who have taken on more responsibility, which has meant your efforts have been able to go elsewhere.
Yeah, focus on, you know, improving the business and, you know, really looking deeper at the financials and reporting and opportunities that we have to be able to optimize the business and give back to the team as well.
And you guys do very well at communicating that stuff. You know, you've just really brushed over it, but I want to go back to it. Your end of year review, there is quite a substantial amount of effort that goes into that process in order to share and provide that transparency that you've touched on a few times.
Yeah, definitely. I think Ryan and I talk about this a lot. Like, if we set goals, we generally achieve them. Like, I think that's one big thing we've learned about ourselves in business, particularly, that when we set ourselves those goals, we'll run really hard to make sure that we're achieving them. But we've always got to remind ourselves to reset those goals, so that we're striving for that next thing. But yeah, we do share those goals with the team as well. So we'll sort of at the end of the year go through last year's goals and show them what we achieved out of those goals, which is always nice to see some ticks next to that stuff.
Steph loves a good tick. She
I
loves
love a green tick.
loves a result. Loves a result.
And then showing them, like, what the inquiries have meant, and like the trends over inquiries and the conversion rates we're achieving, and what that ultimately then looks like for them. So we're actually we've been really focused on profitability in the business over the last little while, particularly given what's been happening with COVID and especially the increase in fuel prices and operation costs. We're always looking at that, but this year we've decided to sort of involve the team in that and get them behind helping be laser focused on profitability. And so we've set them a profitability target, and we'll be announcing this afternoon to them that we'll be taking them on a team trip if we meet that target. So thinking, Bali or Fiji or something fun with the team as a really extra reward.
How cool. Who wants to come work for Modern Hedge? If you're somebody out there that likes to do that kind of work and want to live on the Mornington Peninsula, hit them up. Team trips. So I want to ask about this from the team perspective. A lot of people would go, what, you're like sharing your business goals and you're sharing, numbers with them, and like a lot of people are scared to do that. What have you found has been the benefit to sharing that stuff?
It really shows them how much goes on in a business, and it's not just going out and mowing a lawn or trimming a hedge. There's a lot to think about on the backside of a business that they don't get exposed to, and a few of them have actually asked to be closer to numbers and to understand how we run the business, and this just gives them a great opportunity to see what we do and how we set goals for the next year, and give them an opportunity and the tools to be able to hit them goals. Because if you don't show them how or tell them how, they're never going to know, really.
And there's a real misconception, not in our business, I don't think, but broader, that like the revenue you take in, that's what the owners are taking home from a business. And you're like, oh mate, if only you knew how much goes out the other side. We're making sure that they've got new vehicles, they've got all the tools, we've got all the operating expenses. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes that is the operating costs of a business that sometimes gets lost, I think, for some businesses, in that's probably why they're afraid to share some of the financials, because if you share that top line figure, the assumption becomes, oh, well, that's what the owners are making. And so I think trying to help expose all the little things that go into actually operating a business is one way to help them understand that.
Yeah, and I think the reward of something at the end of it for them as well. Like, we're showing them these numbers, and we're showing them that the fuel costs have gone up 55%. So we're giving them the opportunity to think about where they're driving, how they're driving, and save on that, which then in turn gets them a reward at the end of it as well. Yeah. So those little tools, they're great little things to do.
Amazing. And that's the thing, is if they understand that they are part of the cogs that turn the machine, and that they're contributing and have an active contribution to the success, and therefore their own success for trips, you can't really go wrong there. So that's very cool. So tell us a bit. Ryan, I want to ask you particularly on this one, from a leadership perspective. Is that something that's come naturally to you, or, how have you've touched on a few things earlier, you're still working on stuff, and you've always had bosses. Tell us a bit about how have you sort of become the leader that you are today?
Definitely does not come naturally. Like I said, I've always worked for someone in the mechanical engineering side of things. You was one of 500, one of 700 people in a factory, and you can kind of just disappear into the people, and you never really have one-on-one with bosses unless you've done something wrong. And speaking with some of the other business owners as well, they've expressed how they've had bosses that have just tear you to pieces every week and really aggressive, and that's how they mentor people. And I've never had that. I've only either had a boss that you never see or someone that's really nice. So I'm still learning that side of things, when how to have the hard conversations. That's probably the hardest thing for me, is to have those hard conversations, and something that I'm working on and getting the tools from Kate on how to do that as well.
Beautiful. And what particularly so the communication side, which I don't think any of the tradies would disagree, is one of the more challenging parts to this, because I mean, a lot of tradies haven't necessarily had the role modeling of good communication or providing feedback. So you use fairly solid structures at Modern Hedge, don't you guys, as far as delivering feedback goes?
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, we use the rules of the game for the minor stuff and some of the major stuff as well. But yeah, it's hard. It's not easy to have those conversations. There's a line between being a friend at work and being someone's boss, and using that structure to pull someone aside and sit them down, and like putting your captain's armband on and being like, right, we're having this conversation, and this is what we're going to get out of it, and putting it back on them as well to change their behaviors.
Yeah. And having consistency in reviews start to create more structure to have those forums of conversations as well. And I think we're getting better at the reviews and making sure they're consistent for the team. It was certainly a goal for us last year to make sure quarterly the team were getting that. And this year, sort of making sure that we pre-book them into the schedule for everybody so that they're in there and they become a non-negotiable, because definitely the continuous feedback and being able to help them understand how they're going and things that need to improve, or things they're doing really well, conversely, making sure that we're calling out the things that are really impacting on positive culture and positivity on the business is really important as well.
Amazing. So the last couple of questions. So what's something that you can share with others that you might do differently if you had the opportunity from a team perspective?
Just going with your gut.
I love this, Ryan. Tell us more.
We've like, with a high turnover of staff and things like that, you kind of get a feeling straight away when you meet someone that they're going to be a good fit, and just avoiding the temptations of, oh, we'll employ them and we'll make it work. We can make them fit into our business. It'll work out in the end, and then just keep on going and going, when we should have just listened to your gut in the first place.
Pretty powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, Steph?
Oh, such a big believer in gut. I think Ryan and I always say, like, if one of us has a gut instinct and we go against it, we always come back to it and go, oh, see, we should have listened to that. So definitely one aspect that I think we're learning to do better.
Amazing. And it's a challenge, because when you are, and so many people will relate at the moment, it feels desperate, I suppose, to find people. And like Ryan, you said, you just want to make it fit, make the person fit. It'll be right. We'll sort it out. Oh no, maybe I'm just being a bit too picky on the selection, and you don't listen to it. It does always bite us in the bum. But I think you guys are very tuned into gut now when it comes to recruitment, and even if something's not right with the team, you've always been bang on as far as if something's not right, because you're listening to your guts now.
Yeah, definitely. And we're really deliberate about it too. Like, you know, if we don't make the right decisions, that does impact the overall team culture and how they feel about coming to work. I mean, I love hearing, like, I constantly hear from one of the boys, like, I just never don't want to come to work in the morning. I get up and I'm excited to come to work. And that is the biggest compliment that we can receive.
Amazing. So much. That's beautiful. And so what's one thing that you would urge others out there in the tradie world to that you've done well in developing your modern tradie team that you like, this is a non-negotiable, you should definitely do this to build a solid team?
Oh, there's probably a couple of things, and this is maybe not directly team, but impacts team. I wish I'd brought on admin into our business earlier. Personally, for me, I was spending too much time in the weeds on invoicing and little bits and pieces that I'd get aggro about with Ryan, and just things that didn't need to be a problem because I was trying to juggle everything outside of the business and do all of that myself because I didn't really understand what it meant to have the investment of somebody else doing that. And that is, we've definitely learned along the way with our admin team too, but we have a great girl in the business now who I'm so thankful for, and I think has really been transformative in us being able to take the time to work on more of the business aspects and making sure the team and the thing that all the things we're putting in place to impact the business are coming to fruition. So having more time to do that and not being in the weeds and having that admin support, I wish I'd done that earlier.
Wow, that's pretty profound for any of the ladies out there who think they can do it all, whether they've got a full-time plus job like Steph or not. It's pretty profound having that support so that you can, I love that, get out of the weeds and do some of the high level stuff where you're actually at your best. So that's a cool thing. So put on admin Steph's recommendation. What about you, Ryan? What's the thing that's been the big one for you?
Investment in the team.
Yeah.
Itself. It feels like a lot when you're taking days off to do things with them, or you're having meetings in the morning or an afternoon where they're missing half days here and half days there. It's such just it's
yeah, it comes back tenfold when you actually do it.
Exactly. And just the little things like we've got a basketball hoop at the factory, and on a Friday we'll play like 2-on-2 or 3-on-3. We'll have a beer at the end of it, and they love, like in their reviews, that's all they was talk. Oh, I love playing basketball, and
oh my god, they get so competitive,
yeah, and taking them away on little trips. And one of our guys has just had a baby, and there's only him and his partner that live over here. They haven't got any help, so giving him that, we didn't have any paternity like plan in place, so giving him the time that he needs, and really trying to help them is
it's sort of that, those sorts of things give us the opportunity to create new policies when they come up. And we didn't have anything formal in place, but we were able to do something that was meaningful for them at the time, and also creates an opportunity for us to re-solidify a formal policy around that, and giving back to the team in that environment too.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, and you guys most certainly, and there are lots of gems, and I'll just pluck a few out from that whole conversation around how you are very tuned into what your staff need, and the want that you have for them to stay satisfied and engaged at work. So, you run activities outside of work at least quarterly. You're making sure that you do goal setting workshops with them, so you're actually in touch with what they want for themselves as human beings, which is exceptionally rewarding for them to go, wow, my boss actually cares about me as a person. You understand that you work hard to understand what makes them tick as people. When you had one of your staff members with a recent baby, that's a big thing for him. Even thinking about the fact that they're isolated.
Yeah, so we sent food care packages to them so they didn't have to cook, because it was just them two looking after a baby that was in the hospital for 2 months.
Yeah, huge. It's the little things.
It's not a big deal for us, but it means a lot to them as well.
Yeah, so it's going that extra mile to really understand who they are as individuals, and catering in little ways but such significant ways to them in order to keep them engaged. So congrats, guys. You're very impressive. And thank you for today. It's been amazing to reflect with you on what you've done to build your incredibly wonderful and modern tradie team. So yeah, exceptional gratitude to you, and I know that all the listeners will get a lot of nuggets out of that session. So thanks, Steph and Ryan. It's been beautiful.
Well, thank you to Kate and the team at Ladies with Tradies. I think the investment that we've been able to make has been a lot of the coaching that you've given us and the opportunity to learn from you guys and be pushed out of our comfort zone as well. So we wouldn't be where we are without the support of you guys and all of that. So thank you for everything you guys have done.
Yeah, I'd definitely still be a sole trader, just working on my own if it wasn't for you guys. And like you say, the comfort zone's been a massive thing for me over the last 2 years, just getting out of it and learning how to be a boss and learning how to run a business as well. Because it's not just about being on the tools. It's every tradie thinks they can go and open their own business, but it's not that easy.
But if any of the listeners want to chat about team or any of the initiatives that we do, we'd be happy to chat with anyone.
Beautiful. And they are very generous, these guys. Steph was awarded our Most Valued Lady award for our 2022 shindig for the amazing generosity that not only she provides to the group and our community, but Ryan as well. So thanks, guys. Very grateful for your time. Have a good one.
Thanks, Kate.
Awesome. Thank
Bye.
you.